Jon Favreau's live-action Star Wars series will reportedly cost
$100 billion.
How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. Apparently Disney is going to be spending $100 billion on the Star Wars Jon Favreau live action series, and according to my math, that works out to about $10 billion an episode. That is very exciting. I mean, Disney's they're putting a lot of faith in this project, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, and this is fantastic news. So let's read on with this article, shall we? This is coming to us from TalkiesNetwork.com, and the author is Matthew J.J. Simoes. That's a jazz name, if I ever heard one. And here we have Mr. Jon Favreau himself, who looks like he must have woke up and rolled out of bed, found the first pressed shirt that he could get into, and run out the door and sped all the way to the photo shoot with the top down in his convertible Jaguar, because it's the only explanation for a hairdo like this that I could come up with. So the article goes on to say, Disney's streaming service, rumored to be titled Disney Direct, that works, is slowly but surely coming to fruition. And now we may have our first info regarding Jon Favreau's highly anticipated live-action Star Wars series. The New York Times has some interesting figures for Jon Favreau's live-action Star Wars series, reporting that the 10 episodes will cost Disney Lucasfilm about $100 million. Oh, I guess I read it wrong earlier. $100 million. The show will see multiple directors and writers tackling the Star Wars universe, the new series set for Disney's streaming service. A live-action Star Wars series coming to the platform from Jon Favreau, the director of films like Iron Man and The Jungle Book, expected to cost roughly $100 million for 10 episodes. Star Wars is a big world, and Disney's new streaming service affords a wonderful opportunity to tell stories that stretch out over multiple chapters. Mr. Favreau said in an email. He added of Mr. Strauss, marketing is about telling a story, and his background in that area allows us to collaborate and create new content. So details are being kept close to the chest as of now, but Favreau is no stranger to the Star Wars universe. The actor had a role in Star Wars The Clone Wars, where he actually played a Mandalorian, the animated series, and he recently starred in Solo: A Star Wars Story. That I wasn't aware of, but I have not seen that movie yet. It's on my to-do list. It's not high on the list, but it's on there. The series has been rumored to focus on the time between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, being set 7 years following the Empire's defeat on the forest moon of Endor. Until we have official confirmation from Disney and Lucasfilm, let the speculation continue on what the Iron Man director has up his sleeve for the new Star Wars universe. So, what do I think about Disney spending $10 million each episode for a grand total of $100 million? Well, I think it's a good starting point if the product is good. You know, if you look around and see what other networks and streaming services are spending on their series, this puts Jon Favreau's Star Wars show on the higher end of things, but not quite up there with a show like Game of Thrones, which will see that show's budget at $15 million an episode. But this is Game of Thrones' final season, and the season will only be 6 episodes, so that's a total budget of $90 million. All that being said, none of these numbers really matter if the show is a complete dud. There's a lot of potential with the Star Wars show that takes place several years after the Battle of Endor. It essentially gives us stories in a time period where our heroes from the original trilogy are still very much alive, and the possibility of some form of appearance in an episode or two is a very real possibility. The aesthetic of the show should also fall in line very closely with the original trilogy, but because it's set beyond episode 6, there's still lots of room to explore and introduce plenty of new worlds and vehicles and characters into the mythology. Ultimately, it's going to come down to story first and foremost. And we've been saying that for months now with The Last Jedi and everything else. Look, without being obligated to include any expanded universe or classic trilogy legacy characters, Favreau is essentially free to tell a story without enormous constraints or having to worry about how it affects the main saga. That's not to say he can go apeshit, and defy basic established principles of the canon and create a storyline so egregious that it encroaches, into the major saga mythology and then undermines anything that came before it. That's not going to fly, especially taking place so close to the original trilogy time-wise. But there's a big enough sandbox for him to play in, where you would hope that the story he brings us only helps to complement the known canon, much in the way that the Clone Wars animated series elevated the prequel trilogy, and gave us plenty of great Star Wars content to be happy about. So, $10 million an episode should be enough to start with if the story is priority number one. If you go back and look at the original trilogy, sure, the trench run on the Death Star and the Battle of Hoth, and the Jabba the Hutt sail barge rescue, and the speeder bike chase on Endor, they're all fantastic. But for all those big budget special effects action set pieces, it's the lines, the dialogue from the movie, from the story they told, that we often speak the most. Do or do not, there is no try. I love you, I know. No, I am your father. These moments and others like them that resonate with us. They become a part of our lexicon. Our mantras. The way we think and how we interact with each other, the way that we speak to each other, and that comes from competent storytelling and likable characters and compelling situations that find us invested in the outcome, because over time we become invested in our protagonist, and have decided to embark on their journey with them, in hopes that we can see them through to overcoming perilous, insurmountable conflicts, and then rejoicing in their eventual triumph. And these are the things any new Star Wars project should look to achieve first and foremost. And then bring in the badass blaster shootouts and space battle dogfights and the dare and escapes, all of those set pieces, those big action set pieces. Big budgets makes not a great Star Wars project. Look no further than Solo and The Last Jedi for proof of that. Look, for me personally, I like Jon Favreau. I think the man's a solid director. He essentially helped to launch the juggernaut that has become the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's a fan of the Star Wars franchise, and I respect the work he's done. I have confidence in his ability, and I'm hopeful he can deliver a quality story that stays true to Star Wars in tone, yet gives us something new and interesting that feels like a natural extension of the brand, that we can all embrace and welcome into the canon, and not feel that we've been insulted, and then if God forbid we reject it, then we become the bad guy because there's an awful product that we got to call bullshit on. But I have confidence that that's not what Jon Favreau is going to do here. At least those are my hopes. So anyway, guys, that's news, and that's my take. How do you feel about the budget for the show? Do you think it's enough, or should Disney dig a little deeper in their pockets? I'm sure if season 1 does well, the budget is going to increase going into season 2. And there's a lot of competition out there with Netflix and Amazon, who they've purchased the rights to Lord of the Rings. So for the TV rights, so they're looking to be producing shows, and there's reports that those episodes can cost upwards of $20 million a pop. So there's going to be competition out there, and the bar is going to be continually raised higher and higher by all of these streaming services looking to get everybody's money. So this is just a starting point for Disney. It's kind of a testing ground, and we'll see where we go from here. Fingers crossed that it's going to be something good. I know a lot of fans right now are snake bitten, and if you are, that's fine. But are you at least willing to give the show a shot? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And thanks to everybody for watching. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to the channel and clobbering that little bell button. The next time I put a video up, you'll be notified right away. And until next time, be happy, be safe, be healthy. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
You see, I've turned the moon into what I like to call a Death Star.